fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
52 days as of Thursday. My wife, kids, and I pretty much shut in. Same as you, 52 days. Forgive me if I don't spruce up for you on camera at this point. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. I splashed my boat on Wednesday, finally. Yes! Then the same day, find out that the governor has announced that we are in for another 30 days of this public health emergency. What does that mean? I don't know. I really don't know anymore. It's staying on top of this is pretty crazy, especially when it comes to fishing. Now, the state police issued a statement this week. They said bait and tackle is not essential. Well, we knew that. We've talked about that several times here in the last 54 days. The bait and tackle shops are not essential. But even non-essential business, according to the governor, can still operate by delivery only. If you have a retail operation, brick and mortar, you can't allow customers into your store if you're non-essential, but you can do delivery. And as we've since found out, we've talked about this, started with Atlantic County, where we found out from the senator's office in Atlantic County, through the closure of Charlie's in Ocean County, and we found out from Assemblyman Catalano that curbside delivery is fine. Well, now all of a sudden, this new edict from the state police found its way into Cape May County. We had some problems in Sea Isle with a couple of business closures this week. Now I was on the phone on Wednesday with the folks from the Recreational Fishing Alliance, the RFA New Jersey chapter. They were on it, and I think at this point it is fixed because a couple of phone calls were made, a couple of Senate offices were contacted. Captain Bob Resch from Starfish Boats and the United Boatmen of New Jersey, he got on the phone with the Sea Isle mayor. So hopefully we have that situation fixed. But again, every day is different. I start every day, the glass half full. I end it, it's completely empty. I was watching the governor's press briefing on Wednesday. Similar question. A reporter had asked him about Walmart and Target style stores. They can practice social distancing and they can have hundreds of people in there. Why can't we do the same with mom and pops? Social distancing. The social distancing requirements, let's say a liquor store, but we can't have that for our mom and pop bait and tackle shops. The governor didn't ask the question. But hopefully we'll learn more, and as any of these flare-ups happen, we'll continue to follow up on it, get in touch with the right people. And again, the curbside delivery, as far as we know it now, continues through the state of New Jersey. Now, for small business owners who have gotten frustrated by this and the lack of answers, in Cape May County, there's a press briefing this Friday, 10:30 a.m., with Senator Testa and the assembly team of McClellan and Simonson. That event is going to be held 10:30 in the open parking lot of Coho Brewery. If you're going to go to that and express the need, try to ramp that up to Trenton about mom and pop businesses, make sure you practice social distancing. Bring those masks, those buffs. Be careful. The governor did say, however, good news was that towns can't just open beaches for residents only. It's all or nothing. You got to open it up for everybody or close it for everybody. So that's good news for folks traveling to another beach looking for some fishing opportunities. And little by little, we are finding some of these beach restrictions are being lifted, especially with the Memorial Day weekend on the immediate horizon. I think some of these town officials are realizing a slow opening is in the works at this time. So if you're thinking about going to a particular beach, if you're chasing some reports, I would go to the Facebook page of that municipality to check to see if that beach is open. We did find out that this Saturday, Sandy Hook, which is a federally managed site, will be open Saturday, May 9th. So it's going to be open for fishing. You can't camp, you can't picnic, and some of the facilities, the parking lots are going to be shrunk. You're not going to have as many areas to park. All the facilities, the restrooms are closed, but they did say they're opening up to fishing. So again, bring those masks. Don't go elbow to elbow. Don't conglomerate. Practice your social distancing. For the most part, this past Saturday's opening of state parks was a pretty good success. We only heard of a couple of hot spots that I'm sure are going to be under a lot more scrutiny from officials, COs, and police. That means Barnegat Light, Bulls Island, DNR Canal, Hacklebarney, Round Valley, Wharton, Wawayanda, and Worthington. These were some of the hot spots that were identified by the state. So let's be careful moving forward. I know it's not all the fishermen, but if you're going to those boat launches, you're going to those boat ramps, make sure you don't group up. Make sure you practice your social distancing. As far as I know, that's what happened at Corson's over the weekend. Corson's Inlet had a lot of folks in the park launching the boats to the point where they shut down the beaches for wade fishermen. It's a terrible time to shut that down with the weakfish and bluefish coming in behind Corson's. Corson's boat launch was open, the beaches were not. Let's hope that changes as we move into the weekend or the next week or two. It's a little bit different for anglers down along the Delaware Bay shore, not just the bay shore, but on the open beaches as well. The beaches are closed, but not to fishermen, not to folks who have the buggy permits for Fenwick and Cape Henlope and Delaware Seashore. Folks can fish down there. As long as you've got your buggy permit, fishing is allowed along those Delaware beaches. Of course, in Delaware as well, they still have the blackfish season for another week. New Jersey's was shut down at the end of April. And of course, summer flounder, fluke, if you will. That is open, and the action has begun down in Delaware, at least. Olivia and Anthony here checked in with this 18-incher outside at Lewis Harbor Marina. They caught that fish in the Lewis Canal on a nuclear chicken gulp. It's good to see that. Of course, Delaware Bay, the drum bite is going pretty hot and heavy as well right now, although my understanding is most of the action is on the Jersey side of the Delaware Bay. Bill Schmidt weighed in a 60-pounder at Hands 2 Bait and Tackle. Not inside, but outside. Folks, remember that. If you're going to go weighing in a fish, scales should be on the outside. We can't go inside retail businesses that are non-essential. We can stay outside, curbside delivery. We're getting a good number of drum reports as well from the Great Bay, Little Egg Harbor area behind Absecon and Atlantic City, but also Raritan Bay. In fact, I've had 3 or 4 different reports of some good drum caught up on Raritan Bay, including Paul Riviera, who hit this 38-incher on Sunday. A darn good fish up there on the Raritan Bay. Now, I would say this, with the COVID-19 restrictions that we've had in place, and we've been talking about striped bass for a while, I think a lot of people are thinking, oh my God, I'm going to miss this entire run. No, don't worry about it. We still have those Chesapeake fish that have got to move up along the coast. So right now, we've got a lot of the smaller residents. Some smaller ocean run fish are coming in along the beaches. And of course, the Raritan Bay with the Hudson River spawn and the Delaware as well. So our local fish that are spawning in the Delaware and Hudson, they're doing that. But we still have a good run of Chesapeake fish to come up along the coast at some point. And I'll tell you, that Delaware bite continues as well. Min Diggity, he let me know that he bloodwormed this good striper earlier this week from somewhere along the Delaware River. Just a reminder, from the Salem River up to the Calhoun Street Bridge in Trenton, it's closed to striper fishing through the rest of this month. Out along the front beaches, Bayside Dave let us know that he jigged this schoolie up along the open beaches of Long Beach Island. Good to hear that. Very good to hear that. And yes, there are some fish at Island Beach State Park as well. Cody Piff confirmed that at Grumpy's on Monday with this little guy. He clammed up in the wash. Hope to get some more reports out of Island Beach, but I think for the social distancing and folks keeping their mouths shut so that we don't get too many crowds, that could be the reason we're not getting a lot of Island Beach State Park reports right now. Of course, that Raritan Bay bite, like I mentioned, is still going on. Jim Peters let me know he live lined some good fish on Monday. One for the table, it looks like, but he released a bunch of fish, he said. So while the surf guys are up there along the bay shore doing some worming, a little bit of clamming, I know some guys, some of those Sharpies are working up there with the plugs and finding some good fish at night. But again, those boat guys up on the Raritan are getting it done. Steiger Craft builds boats by the same people that fish our waters. That's why serious anglers choose Steiger Craft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you. Now let's get a Sweetwater update out west with my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, another beautiful day here at the park. As you can see, there's folks out kind of enjoying themselves, and they're being pretty responsible, too. I haven't seen anybody kind of overcrowding things. We certainly don't want the governor reversing his decision and end up closing something because folks can't maintain their distance. And just be sure when you are out, be sure you wear your face covering, too, to make sure you protect not only yourself, but you can respect those others around you. So it's just a good idea. Let's play it safe for a while, and we'll all get back to fishing as normal. Now, the weather is not the only story. I mean, we had those couple weeks of really cold, rainy, and windy weather, and I'm certainly done with that. So this is a beautiful day. The fishermen were finally out this week, and I was down here at the lake earlier, and there was boats all over the place, so lots of anglers getting out. And the good news is the fish are really starting to turn back on. We got a few fish to share with you this week. We have good friend Tom Gilmore was hitting a bunch of bass from his kayak. He was out in local lakes out in New Jersey, and he managed to get a whole bunch of really nice bass. So good to see that the largemouths are turning on. Our good friend Justin Lerner, he was out hitting some of that dirty water in those New Jersey creeks and streams, but he manages to still, I don't know how this guy does it, but he's always pulling out beautiful brown trout. Again, those jerk baits were producing for him, so that bite is still really good, guys, so don't be afraid to get out on that. It's always a good fish to get on. Now, Eric Goodstall was up in Marshall's Creek hitting some beautiful crappies. The crappie bite has been doing really well. Eric says he's been getting them on marabou jigs. Now, Eric ties his own, and pretty successfully, as you can see. He's been on a mess of these. I hope he saved a couple for the fry pan. They look really good. And to wrap things up, good friend Ryan Scott was out trout fishing with a 6-pound test line and a fathead minnow, and he landed into this, a 10-pound bass. And he got that out of Ranger Lake here. That was really amazing. Can you imagine on 6-pound line? I bet you that gave him quite a run. Congratulations, Ryan. That's a great fish. Anyway, guys, things are looking up. Let's all be responsible, be safe, get out and have fun, enjoy this great weather. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
So we're only a week away from the opener of black sea bass here along the coast, and we are 2 weeks away from the fluke season on May 22nd, right before Memorial Day weekend. But that doesn't mean Grand Slam action isn't around, of sorts. Andy at Riptide Bait and Tackle in Brigantine let me know there's drum, stripers, bluefish, and look at that. Tasty kingfish are in the wash as well. So our spring run, it almost looks like our early summer run as well, but the action is on. If you're looking for some tasty fish, kingfish is it. Unless you go for blowfish. We've got some good reports of blowfish by some folks. Joe Antiorio let me know he got on some jumbos, chumming heavily with clam, but got some really good blowfish action. If that's something, if your boat's in the water, if you're looking to get out with the kids, load up, teach them how to put some food on the table, blowfish can't go wrong. Put a little protein into the mix. Again, more bluefish are around as well throughout the state. George Hall kayaked his way to a 35-incher on the Shrewsbury over the weekend. That was Saturday. He was throwing an SP minnow. I think we're going to get more bluefish reports as we get some more of these jetty fronts and parks and beaches open, because I wouldn't be surprised if bluefish are racing through Shark River, Manasquan, Barnegat, also down in Corson's as well. But we just haven't had a lot of people going out looking for them because of the restrictions, but they are there. And you kayak anglers, you guys like George there putting that big 35-incher on, don't forget about the Fisherman Magazine's Coastal Kayak Clash. That contest kicked off on May 1st for you kayak anglers. You can get all the details over at thefisherman.com. Another arrival, we're getting more and more weakfish reports, especially from this guy, Jeremiah Calloway. Let me know he hit him again. He was out Sunday night on one of the jetties in Atlantic City, got himself a 22-incher, so it's good to see. I would expect to see more on these drum and weakfish at the time of our full moon this week. It is the flower moon. I think they would probably call it the corn planting moon here in Jersey. Jersey corn, right? That's Thursday, May 7th, that full moon corn planting. I put tomatoes and an eggplant out in the garden last weekend, and now we're going to get 30-degree temperatures into the 30s this weekend. I hope they make it. The full moon, always a good time in May, because that really, for a lot of folks, that seems to kick off a lot of the interest, especially with black drum. And those weakfish start to move. But the one thing that I found this week too, some friends let me in on, is the cinderworm hatch. Found a little hatch in the upper bay this week. I want to try to continue on it. If you've never tried to fish for this, where I've been fishing, these little cinderworms are hatching sometime between 6 p.m. and dark. And those stripers come in and they're piling on these little worms, tiny little worms like this. They are the most frustrating thing to fish, because the best opportunity you have to catch stripers on this cinderworm hatch, and you can find them at night too, sometimes under the dock lights. I've done it in Barnegat as well. But go up into those creeks around the marinas, Upper Bay, look for those cinderworm hatches. But those stripers, when they're keyed in on those tiny little bugs up on the surface at night, just blowing up on fish. But it seems like the fly guys are the best enabled to be able to get those stripers to bite. But look for that this week. Good opportunity for you to see something special and try to fish something special. Hey, don't forget our weekly editions are back. They're online. You subscribers, you got to log in to get that weekly subscription to the Fisherman magazine. And if you don't have a subscription to the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine, you're missing out on 38 copies a year, just $29.95. Log in at thefisherman.com, get your subscription, and if you're not getting your weekly editions, it's because you're not logging in to check it out. Catch them up this weekend. When we talk next week, we'll talk a little bit about black sea bass, and hopefully we'll have some better options. Oh, I'm praying for the party and charter boats to get up and operational before black sea bass and fluke on the 22nd. We'll see you again next week right here at thefisherman.com.